We're talking about Impala Platinum, which is the world's second largest platinum producer. It has mines near Rustenberg, Steelpoort and the Great Dyke in Zimbabwe.
Yep, also under new management. Nico Muller, the CEO, has just come in and will take over from Terence Goodlace in April.
Market cap, 38.8 billion rand, price to earnings ratio, really? 454?
That's what it says, but you look, it's a bit of a tricky one looking back at the prior couple of years.
Gary's going to explain it, aren't you? Currently paying no dividend. Can you explain it?
Yeah, again, it's the same as pretty much the story in the rest of the sector as well. It's been a very difficult time for them. I mean, they cut their dividend in 2013 to really shore up the balance sheet. I mean, they've been, mothballing production. The real impact on earnings has come from Impala lease. So if you look at
last year, they had a write back on an insurance claim on the fire at 14 shaft, and then this year's results look bad compared to that, and that's non-GOP, so you can't add that in. That's
but if you look at it,
I understand fully.
It's a mess.
It is a bit of a mess. But if you look at it, the big impairments have come on Impala lease, which is their biggest asset, which it's been a difficult operating environment for them. But if you look at Zimplats, you look at Marula, you look at their refining services as well. It's been a fairly solid operation. So if they can get that Impala lease asset to turn around.
But talk to me about Zimplats and indigenization and those issues that plague Zimbabwe.
It's always been a huge risk for them. But again, a lot of people value that Zimplats asset at nothing, and they see it just as optionality. If things come right in Zimbabwe, there's absolutely massive upside, but you can't really assign a value to it at this stage. And I think that's reflected in the share price. So
let's look at that share price, because we haven't perused it yet.
So it looks the same, maybe a little bit more acute, but it has rebounded somewhat. It's fascinating when we talk about Zimbabwe, because year after year we say the same thing. Lots of upside there, 100 million ounces close to the surface, could be a wonderful asset, but right now, no currency.
But you need the government to play ball, and this is a discussion point.
It's like Disneyland up there. It's
policy
like, I don't know how that place works.
consistency is the key to investment.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so do we have anything else to add? Any favorite CEOs in the fold?
Well, Nico Muller, the new CEO, since you mentioned him, he was the guy who was like an operational whiz kid at Royal Bafokeng, Rasimone, that stuff. Then he moved to Goldfields to run South Deep, and when he arrived, he made few friends by saying these miners and managers here is a totally dysfunctional thing. He stayed only for a year or so, and now he's come in at the top job. So he feels and seems a little bit rough around the edges, but I mean, Terence Goodlace did a tremendous job. They had their problems though. As Gary said, the 14 shaft fire, the loss of life there, and the complicated reorganization of production. It's a difficult
operating environment. But is the company right-sized for a future?
I think, I'm a little bit more optimistic on Anglo Platinum. So to look at those PEs is very different. But if you look at a price to cash flow instead, the sector sits at about a 14. They sit at about a 10. So they are significantly cheaper. And I think if they get that Impala asset right, their refining services are very solid. They're one of only 4 to have the full mine to market capacity. I think they could potentially. I think if I had to play one of the majors, I'd rather go Implats over Implats.
It's actually very exciting to have this conversation, because you can see just from the disarray, the share prices, the pressure, that this industry has come through a tough period, and maybe we really are calling the bottom, and from here it is upside.
Well, I think the guys that have been buying the bottom definitely have been the institutional managers. So if you look at the ownership of the company, I mean, you've got Coronation with 15%, okay, PIC's got 10, but Alan Gray and Vestact, and then obviously Royal Bafokeng, 10, 10, and 6. So it's got a solid institutional backing there, and I think these guys are trying to invest in the bottom, and they see that platinum. I don't think that the demand for platinum is going anywhere, and this is a major platinum company if it can get it right.
Hot, not.
I'm going to go hot on Impala. Yes.
Hot, not.
Yeah, I'll go hot on this one too. I think, if the overall argument about platinum and where it's going and the supply deficit come true, I'm not saying it's going to explode in the next 3 days, but I think it could move in the right direction.
Since when have we ever made an investment call for 3 days?
I'm rubbing off on you, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to have Gary on less on the show. No, Gary, I'm only joking.